Hi, and welcome to Quietly Marketing. And today's episode is going to be Market Like a Speaker. So when I talk about speakers, I mean somebody who is kind of a professional speaker. You go to like a lot of these. In my case, I go to a lot of marketing events, you go to business events, trade shows, and essentially they make a lot of their living speaking. Certainly, a lot of those keynote speakers that you see have books. Sometimes they're consultants. But a lot of them can command quite a bit of money for their speaking gigs, and that's how they get a lot of their income. So that's what I mean when I say market like a speaker. I'm talking about people who have made somewhat of a career or a lot of their career, a lot of their income based on speaking. And for this, I'm going to be talking about one person in particular, based on experience I had recently, and I'm going to be talking about Scott Stratten. If you're in the marketing industry, he's kind of a celebrity. He's kind of almost... if you talk about in the movie world, he'd be somebody who would be instantly recognizable as much as like a Tom Hanks or a Brad Pitt. He is a career speaker. He also has, so who is Scott Stratten? Scott Stratten is, he has been a consultant in the past. He has been in HR. He was in the music industry at one point. But essentially now his main thing that he does is he goes around, he gives keynotes. And he also does a podcast called Unpodcast, one of the few podcasts I listen to religiously. When it comes out, I have to listen to it. And his topic is always around the customer experience and making sure that you always give the best customer experience possible, something I'm very passionate about myself. And he has a few books as well that I've read. This is not supposed to be a promotion for Scott Stratten, but I just want to give an example of who I'm talking about for the purpose of this video today. So how did I discover Scott Stratten? Well, it wasn't on purpose. It wasn't even, in my case, it wasn't even word of mouth. I'd heard of him a little bit in my marketing world, but not that much. At the time, I wasn't into podcasts, so I wouldn't have heard of his podcast. I'd gone to a few conferences, but more industry specific, not marketing, business, so I hadn't even seen him speak. So a few years ago, when I was attending Content Marketing World, an event that actually just finished this past week, hence why this is top of mind right now. I saw Scott Stratten speak because he was a keynote speaker at Content Marketing World. So the keynotes, everyone's obviously there, and it was just one of the most entertaining pieces of content. In this case, a keynote that I've ever heard. There was a lot of good information in there, but most importantly, it just held my attention the entire time, and it was something different. If you ever hear him speak, go to YouTube, just listen to his rants and the way he speaks. Is very eloquent. He has a lot of good messaging, but he does it with just pure passion, and that's what's key, to a good speaker. So how does this relate to marketing like him? Now, I cannot speak to his specific strategy and how he does it, but I can tell you how Scott Stratten has actually gotten a lot of word of mouth from myself and how he has grown just within my circle. So after I saw Scott Stratten, immediately I was like, wow, I got to see this guy speak. And since then, every single time that I've been at a conference and he's speaking, I don't look at what the topic is or anything. I just immediately go to it. Sometimes it's a keynote, sometimes it's in a session, but I immediately have to go and see him speak. I've also read all of his books. He's got 4 books out there now. I've read all 4 books. I listen to his podcast now. But more importantly, what I do now is I'm constantly kind of a champion for this man. I'm always telling anybody, any quote I can get from him, I'll use in internal presentations that I use for myself or for clients. I'll reference his books. I own some of his books, so I obviously will give those books to other people. When I go to these conferences, I immediately encourage you. I go to a lot of conferences, so I have a lot of people asking me, who should I go see? And I always say, go see Scott Stratten. There's ever a podcast. People are just getting a podcast. I'm like, listen to Scott Stratten's podcast. And as a result, people are listening to his podcast because of me. I'm not exactly sure how many, but I can tell you at least 5, 6, 7 people who I have directly got listening to the podcast. I know at this most recent conference I was at, I got at least 10 people to go see him who weren't originally to go see them, just based on me telling me, trust me, you will love this guy. And so this is a kind of a study in word of mouth and why it's so important. So that's just down to how good he is. So because he has really quality stuff, I'm going to, promote him for him. Okay. And that's a really big deal. Now, I don't actually host any events. So is it a really big deal that, that I'm getting people to go see him speak? That doesn't do anything. But if enough people do this, so I'm just one person, I'm going to take a guess that there's a lot of people do the exact same thing I am when it comes to him speaking, or any speaker that somebody's really passionate about will get other people to go see. And that's going to lead to probably more speaking gigs, to more people downloading his podcast, to more people just watching him and knowing who he is. Not that he needs the help at this point, he's already massive, but if you think about where he probably was, many years ago when you're just starting out, if you're that good, that's how you're going to get people to come see you. That's the same thing with any type of content that you start producing, any video series, any blog, anything that you put out there. If it's really good and it's good enough and you can just start getting the word out there, this sort of thing can spread. Like I said, this is my story with me. I'm sure there's a lot of other people who have done the exact same thing. I've got a lot of other people to go see him, and as a result, build him up into what he is today. So then I think about marketing, how is he doing it for himself? So this is just going off what he says in his keynotes, is that, his main thing he does is he goes around and speaks. And so everything that he does is going to be around getting people to want him to come speak at his event. So everything is a marketing material for him. So the Unpodcast that he runs, it's obviously got a sponsor, so he doesn't have to pay for it. He has a sponsor pay for that. But what's interesting is he has it's so entertaining that you want to go see him speak. So that's all marketing for him speaking. The books that he sells. So I'm just actually going to grab this. Actually got a signed copy. How exciting is that? Called Unselling. Get nothing away from it there. And he gave away, I went to his speeches yesterday, and he gave away 100 of these books. Now he does this at Content Marketing World every single year. He gives away 100 of these books and signs them. And now when I'm thinking about that, I'm like, why on earth would you give away 100 books for free? I'm sure he makes some money off of these books. And especially with how good he was speaking, if it was like, when I first saw him speak, I went and immediately got his books and read them. And I paid for them. So why on earth would you give 100 books away for free of people who, I'm guessing as first time they spoke, at least a few of them are going to go want to buy his books. And if not one, they're going to buy multiple. But this is the whole point of building your brand and getting your message out there. So what's interesting is, so I got this one for free, and as I read his book, I'm lazy, I actually listened to the audiobook. But because I got this one for free, I'm going to give this to somebody else to read. And I'm going to take a guess that a lot of people who were there to see him speak, given how many people waited in line to get these free books, was not the first time they've seen him speak or the first time they've heard of him. So this might not be his intention. I'd be curious to get his thoughts on this. I'm going to send this video to him just to make sure that he's okay with this. I think that I would imagine this is all just marketing material to get more people to get his name out there more, get his message out there more, and ultimately to get more people to be interested in seeing him speak. And again, not at this point that he necessarily needs it, but he's continually working on his own brand, his own personal brand, and by, giving out free books, I'm going to go give this book to somebody else because I've already read it. I'm going to have them read it. And anybody who's passionate about this industry is going to love this book, and then they're going to do the exact same thing, and then they're going to go on the same path that I was. They're now going to go see him speak. They're going to get other people to go see him speak. They're going to get his books. They're going to read the other books, not just this one. He's got 3 others, and any future books that he writes. So let me just kind of finish this up by saying, why is it important to market like a speaker? Because a speaker is essentially a brand. In Scott Stratten's case, his product is himself. He has to sell himself. And it starts with what I say every single time, which is quality content. In this case, his actual keynotes that he gives. They're original, they're valuable, and they're high quality. So that alone is going to start spreading word of mouth. All right, so that's what you really want to get. If you can get to word of mouth marketing, there's nothing more valuable, because that's a personal recommendation from me to my friends. They're going to go see it, and then they're going to go and give marketing, free marketing as well. So that's really important. Also, don't be afraid to give away things for free. Give away valuable content for free, because that's going to create long-term supporters. So we know that gaining subscribers is the holy grail for marketers, especially if like an email newsletter, anything. Subscribers, if you have a big enough subscriber base, you can sell them anything. So in this case, getting a subscriber for his podcast series, getting subscribers to constantly read his books, to constantly go to these things and be in there is essential. So don't be afraid to give away things for free. This book is awesome. This book is worth like the $25 that it costs retail, but he's giving it away for free in order to gain more word of mouth, in order to gain subscribers, more people who are interested in reading more of his stuff, going on his podcast and keeping him top of mind, and just building a brand as a whole. So the two main takeaways I want to take from this is, one, just keep creating awesome quality content. The better a speaker is, the more they're going to get booked. And it's important that you understand that it has to be good and look for that word of mouth. And secondly, give stuff away for free. Give away some of your secret stuff for free. Give away your best advice for free, and so people can start to get to know you. Don't put it behind a barrier of having to fill out a form in order to get something for free. Just give it if you can. A great tactic I've seen in the past with authors is not only will they send you one book for free, they'll actually send you two. So basically what are you going to do with that second one? You're going to give it to somebody else. So this went about 5 minutes longer than I wanted it to, but just most importantly, look for that word of mouth marketing, give your best stuff away for free, and most importantly, listen to Scott Stratten speak, watch his keynotes, go online, watch him, buy his books, because it's that good. All right, so thank you, and I will talk to you again next week.